Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Ken McCall. I'm a certified athletic trainer. Here to talk to you today about careers in athletic training. Certified athletic trainers, or ATC, are unique healthcare providers who specialize in the prevention, assessment, treatment, and rehabilitation of injuries and illnesses sustained by athletes and the active population. Some education and certification requirements start with the bachelor's degree. And that's what I have. I've earned a bachelor's degree from Cal State University of Long Beach. That is ending next year, and 1 year will be the last class allowed for a bachelor's degree. Most programs have already converted to a master's degree. So a bachelor's degree full-time is a 4-year program, 2 years of upper division in the kinesiology athletic training option. A master's degree will be 2 years after your 4-year degree that you've earned. So you need to apply to a bachelor's degree program, usually kinesiology, maybe biology, and then apply for a master's program, which again will be another 2-year program to get your master's in athletic training. So that will be a requirement starting next year. The university that you attend, in order to become a certified athletic trainer, needs to be accredited. And so it's important to go to that website and make sure that the university, college of your choice has an accredited program, or you will not be able to sit for the Board of Certification examination, which is a requirement. In order to be a certified athletic trainer, you need to pass an examination that is basically allow you to practice in all 50 states. Licensure exists in 49 states, and lucky us Californians, there's no title protection. The last state not being protected as an athletic trainer. So there's no licensure requirement in California. The bad news about that is anyone can practice as an athletic trainer without being certified. And that can be very risky because of the knowledge and skills that we have as athletic trainers. Other people practicing as an athletic trainer might be more liable, might cause more harm than good. So hopefully places of employment are hiring only certified athletic trainers. But that will change. Just a matter of time. We're lobbying for that right now. So when you go to college, obviously you're going to have to get your master's degree by the time you would be entering a university to study to be an athletic trainer. So you get your bachelor's degree, like I mentioned, 4-year degree, and then apply for a master's degree. There are some combined programs where it's combined bachelor's and master's, or might get through in about 5 years full-time. But the courses that you'll be taking in your major, once you're in the athletic training program, are all health-related courses. Going to take a year of anatomy and a year of physiology, which is study the structure and function of the body. Learn about nutrition and biomechanics. Other courses include chemistry, biology, physics. As I mentioned, physiology, psychology, statistics. Every program is going to have some prerequisites that are required. So again, depending on the university that you're looking at, make sure it's accredited and see what the program prerequisites are. So you make sure that you have everything completed. And once you're in the program, you also have to do extensive, very structured and supervised clinical rotations, where you might be working with doctors or physical therapists, maybe at other venues to see how other healthcare providers provide care, and learn a kind of a broad spectrum of different fields. So as far as what athletic training is about, it's probably a little different than the name sounds, right? Athletic trainer, sometimes referred to as trainers. We don't like that, because when we hear the word trainer, or you hear the word trainer, what does that mean? And there's all kinds of trainers. There's personal trainers, there's dog trainers, there's boxing trainers. So what's a trainer? So we like to be called athletic trainers. And again, the name doesn't really justify everything that we do. First and foremost, injury and illness prevention and wellness promotion. So anything that we can do as athletic trainers to prevent an injury or illness from occurring. You know, they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And once an injury occurs, you're going to have a lot of work ahead of you for you as the practitioner as well as the athlete themselves. So we can do injury and illness prevention by making sure teams and athletes are warming up properly, make sure that they're doing proper strength training and conditioning programs. We can use taping techniques, maybe taping ankles, for example, to prevent the most common athletic injury, which is a sprained ankle. Just promoting health and wellness, eating good, getting good sleep, not overtraining. So really just kind of taking a look at the big picture of how we can prevent injuries, making sure fields are safe, courts are safe, no holes, nothing hazardous on the basketball court, no water, anything like that. Someone can slip and fall and hurt themselves. Another domain is examination, assessment, and diagnosis. So whether the athlete is coming into the clinic, the athletic training room, or is on a field, or maybe you're working industrial and you're in a clinic, or you know, any setting. I'll be talking about settings in a minute. We need to evaluate the injury. What's causing the athlete the pain? What happened? So find out the mechanism of injury, any previous injuries, how bad their pain is, looking for any signs of deformity, inability to move a joint, palpating, using our hands to feel, and then doing special tests, orthopedic special tests, to test the ligaments and muscles and nerves, and just to try to determine the extent of the injury or illness and make a decision based on what's presenting. Is it an emergency? Do we need to activate EMS and call 911? Is this something that we can get off the field and take a better look on at the injury on the sideline? Is something that the athlete can return to play right away, or do they have to be out? Do they have to go see a doctor? So a lot of different things can happen in that kind of what we call acute setting. So ultimately what we need to come up with is a diagnosis. What is the injury or illness? That will help us determine how we're going to treat it. Immediate and emergency care. So again, kind of as I mentioned, someone's down on the football field, and I got to run out there and kind of do that assessment. Obviously make sure they're alert, make sure that they're breathing, have a pulse, and rule out anything life-threatening, severe bleeding, and then go into a secondary assessment, kind of a head to toe, and determining what the injury is. So we have to be trained in that, in management, evaluation of it, determine what the injury or illness is, and then how am I going to treat it? How am I going to care for it? So am I going to put a bag of ice on it? Am I going to splint a suspected fracture? Am I going to put a cervical collar on and spine board someone with a potential cervical vertebrae injury? So you really have to know, when we get someone up and when we leave them on the field. A lot of risk involved with moving someone that shouldn't be moved. So it takes a lot of experience to kind of know right from wrong, learn how to care for people. We have another domain is basically therapy, physical therapy, rehabilitation. So therapeutic intervention involves restoring function to someone that's been injured. So if it's an ankle sprain, there's lots of swelling, it's a fluid in the joint. We need to minimize that. So what's the therapeutic intervention to minimize swelling and maybe bruising that's occurred? Well, it's compression, and we might use massage, and we might use some range of motion. And then we're going to, as soon as that acute or initial stage kind of passes by, a couple of days later, we're going to continue with more range of motion, more strengthening, some balance. So we do a lot of rehabilitation, much like a physical therapist would do in a physical therapy clinic. And then the last domain of athletic training is healthcare administration and professional responsibility. So that has a lot to do with documentation of injuries. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. So make sure that you're documenting everything, doing injury reports, contacting parents and coaches and administrators. And then professional responsibility has to do with always maintaining and your education. Education doesn't end after college. Anything in medical, anything in medicine is going to require some type of continuing education. And every profession is a little bit different. with how many units are needed, how many basically hours are needed every year or 2 or sometimes 3 years. So as far as athletic trainers and what they see, injuries, illnesses, you name it. I mean, if an athlete is complaining about it, you're going to have to be a good listener and try to come up with a diagnosis of what that injury or illness is. Some of the common ones, most common in athletics anyways, are sprains, strains, and contusions. Sprains are stretch or tear of ligaments that connect bones together. Strains are muscles and tendons get stretched or torn, partially or completely. And contusions, just blunt force trauma, something comes into contact, kicked in the shin, or you land and you fall really hard. That's a contusion. Might end up with a bruise, or what's called ecchymosis, discoloration, but the injury is a contusion. Fractures and dislocations are common. Fracture is the medical term for a broken bone. Dislocation occurs when at a joint where the bone ends, where they articulate or come together, they actually separate and come apart, and causes a deformity, inability to move, so that needs to be reduced and put back into place. But that injury is not over there. That injury, once a dislocation occurs and the joint is separated, the ligaments that were holding those bones together have stretched or torn. So yeah, sure, it can be reduced by a physician after getting an x-ray, but then they're going to need extensive rehabilitation in order to get some joint stability, range of motion back. That's going to have a lot of swelling we got to work on as well. All kinds of wounds, abrasions and lacerations, avulsion and puncture wounds. So we need to basically know first aid and how to clean a wound and dress a wound, how to put a temporary closure on like a steri strip. Within the next 2 years, athletic trainers are going to be required to be able to suture, which means stitch wounds. So something that part of the continuing education that we all have to fulfill to maintain our credentials. A lot of overuse injuries, especially right now. A lot of athletes are playing more than one sport, so they're overtraining. Tendinopathies, sometimes referred old school tendinitis, occur. So those are things that we need to be able to identify. Heat-related illnesses, from heat cramps to heat exhaustion and the deadly heat stroke. If not treated properly, athletes can die from heat stroke. So it's important to have athletic trainers on site that know how to, first of all, identify it, and then obviously treat them and cool that athlete down immediately and transport them to the hospital. Spinal injuries, spinal cord, cervical vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae, any type of spinal injury and concussions. Big players and lots of risk with that. We don't want to move anyone if we suspect any type of spinal injury. Concussions are a big thing right now, in evaluating, diagnosing, and referring, making sure that athlete understands the importance of being honest and telling us how they're feeling. And then obviously looking for and testing for balance, memory, concentration, things like that. Asthma, diabetic emergencies that we might attend to, have to make sure that we have inhalers, diabetic emergencies, being able to identify if someone has or hasn't eaten, having glucose in order to treat them. Sudden cardiac arrest, if an athlete goes into sudden cardiac arrest, what do you do? Do you know what to do? Yeah, we need to activate EMS, we need to do CPR, we need to use an AED as soon as possible, and that's going to help increase the chance of saving someone's life that is in cardiac arrest where the heart has stopped beating. Anaphylactic emergencies, where someone is having a severe allergic reaction, might be from a bee sting, might be from something they ate, being able to identify that and treat it with epinephrine, EpiPen. Some of the injuries or illnesses that we might see as an athletic trainer. But again, as I mentioned, anything. There's so many different injuries and illnesses that occur. That's just kind of a little summary of some things that I see somewhat regularly. Where can you work as an athletic trainer? You're probably all thinking, yeah, well, where athletes participate. Not always, but that's definitely a good majority of where athletic trainers work, is at schools. So K through 12, some junior highs, lots of high schools, not all have certified athletic trainers. Most colleges and universities have athletic trainers. Can also work for amateur, professional, and Olympic sports. So if you want to work at the higher level and be at venues with hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of fans screaming for these athletes that you care for and you're there for, it's got to be a pretty exciting job. I've never done anything like that, but I've only worked in the high school setting, and in the extreme sports setting, I've worked at Woodward West, which was definitely fun. Hospitals hire athletic trainers. You can work under the supervision of doctors in emergency rooms, rehabilitation clinics, working like physical therapists, as well as occupational therapists, providing clinical support or rehabilitation. Physician offices, you can work with orthopedic surgeons and provide athletic training services, initial consults with the patients, explaining and demonstrating rehabilitation techniques and exercises they need to do, pre-op, post-op, vital signs, kind of more, again, more clinical in nature, working with physicians and doctors, corporate and industrial institutions. A lot of these larger companies are hiring athletic trainers to help minimize injuries, rehabilitate them, can save these big corporations lots and lots of money. So UPS and Pepsi and Amazon, some examples of Frito-Lay, some examples of companies that hire athletic trainers to work for the working population, because those people get a lot of overuse injuries, a lot of repetitive actions in warehouse and plants, lifting things and improper mechanics. So you can maybe watch how someone works, identify some techniques to help them, support their back and lift properly, lift with their legs instead of their back. And really it's kind of analysis of what we call ergonomics and how people move. Public safety is another job setting. If you want to work with law enforcement or fire, they hire athletic trainers as well. A lot of jobs are opening up in that setting. So it's always exciting working with public safety. And performing arts is another one with Cirque du Soleil, So You Think You Can Dance. Basically anything you can think of performing arts and dancing, there's athletic trainers. Las Vegas, all those shows that are going on, there's always going to be lots of athletic trainers in those settings. So is it worth your time and effort to become an athletic trainer? Money, right? You got to think about how much money you're going to make if you're going to go and drop some money on education. And the National Athletic Trainers Association has a salary survey done on athletic trainers that provided information. And we can see on the far right column, as of 2018, which I know was a few years ago. I didn't get the 2020 survey yet. I didn't find it anyways, but $57,000 is a national average. And we're actually in, it's called District 8, which is California, Nevada, and Hawaii. District 8 actually has the highest salary. I think the average salary that athletic trainers reported was in the mid-60s, so like $65,000. Obviously, the cost of living in California is a lot more than the Midwest. So it's growing. It's a growing field. With the master's degree requirement, I expect the salary to continue to increase. But it's the outlook for employment is projected to grow. And as of most healthcare professions, it's going to grow 16% is the expected projected growth. But most healthcare professions are also projected to grow pretty fast. So much faster than average for considering all occupations out there. And the demand is expected to increase as people become more aware of the effects of sports-related injuries. And as the middle-aged and older population remains active, they're going to need our help. So continuing education requirements. Once you become certified as an athletic trainer, basically you need to do some what we call CEUs, continuing education units. And it's intended to promote competence, so to remain competent. You can't just rely on what you learned in college. If I relied on what I knew and what I learned literally 20 years ago, I would be way outdated. So many things have changed and they're going to continue to change. Medicine evolves. So we have to maintain those footsteps as medicine evolves. So it helps us to develop current knowledge and skills and enhance our professional skills, our judgment, our calls, our ability to evaluate, diagnose, and treat. So activities must focus on increasing our knowledge, our skills, abilities that are related to athletic training, and may result in the achievement of additional qualifications and enhanced skill sets. Can get other certifications. At the very beginning, I didn't say, but my credentials, I'm an ATC, Certified Athletic Trainer. I'm a CSCS, I'm a Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, and an EMT, Emergency Medical Technician. So those are all their qualifications, enhanced skills that I've earned along the way. Basically, one continuing education unit is equal to one contact hour, and whether that's doing something online, whether it's going to a clinical symposium, which is what I like to do, different ways you can get your CEUs. But for athletic trainers, 50 hours or CEUs are required every 2 years. So they seem like a lot, but really, I enjoy it. I like learning more. I like expanding my knowledge. So I have a little video I'm going to share. Hopefully this will play and record. And I made this earlier this year. Hi, I'm Ken McCall. I am the ROP, CTE, Patient Care Pathway teacher here at Brea High School, teaching first year medical careers and second year pathway sports medicine and therapy. And I want to welcome you to my classroom, take you on a little tour. Welcome to the classroom. It's a UC approved course, meets the requirements to apply to CSU and UC schools. This is the classroom. It's where the learning occurs. The magic happens. And over here, we have the lab. We have lots of lab equipment and treatment tables where we practice our skills that we learn in the classroom. So, hopefully I'll get you guys into my classroom where we can learn some skills lifelong related to medicine, health, fitness, and life. I'm going to take you guys down to the athletic training room now and show you a little bit about that job. Welcome to the athletic training room. This is where I work as the healthcare provider for all of the athletes here at Brea High School. And this is whirlpool. We can use that hot or cold, depending on if we want to increase or decrease circulation. This is a taping table. Tape athletes' ankles. Let's see, hot or cold compression unit. I have a couple treatment tables, some electrical stimulation, and a massage gun there, some therapy over here, some physio balls, foam rollers, some balance equipment, some weights, an exercise bike, some rehab equipment over there in the corner, my office over there in the corner, and here we have a lot of different supplies that are used for athletes. This cupboard has some miscellaneous supplies, nasal sponges for nosebleeds, some cotton, some slings for shoulder injuries, band-aids, splints for fractures. Let's see, some calamine lotion for some rashes, some sting relief, some antiseptic spray, some eye wash, biofreeze, pain relieving medication. A lot of the supplies that are up here, down here below. We have mostly first aid, some gauzes and ointment at the top, some bandages, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol, some different size bandages, some second skin for blisters, and a lot of that is down here below as well, individually contained for easy access. And then I have some elastic bandages for compression, some different types of tape here, 2-inch and 3-inch tape. All of these supplies I'm showing you, different supplies we also have in the class that you get to learn how to use. A lot of different tapes here. Typical ankle taping. We have kinesio tape, some spray to help the tape adhere, some elastic tape, different thicknesses, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, some pre-wrap here. So that's about all I got for you. So I hope you guys are interested in my program. Many years of doing this, I continue to build it to make it the best that I can make it. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I look forward to meeting you someday. Take care. Okay, so that was a little look at athletic training, what I do here at the high school as a teacher and athletic trainer. And here's another short little video I'll show you.
Since the beginning of our profession, we have been driven by one core principle: patient care. We operate behind the scenes to make sure our patients receive the highest quality care. We take great pride in contributing to their success. No one knows the immense value of athletic training like we do. We are compassionate, innovative, and committed to evidence-based practice. Our work ethic is second to none. For years, we've worked together to advance the profession, and our standard of care has never been higher. While most may know our name, it's time to elevate our profile. It's time to embrace our expertise as leaders in healthcare and seek opportunities to tell our story. In the community, on the field, in the media. It is time to be intentional. As we move this profession into the future, it is time for us to step into the spotlight, to activate the power and influence of one, and to ignite a movement dedicated to advancing our profession. We are athletic trainers. What we do is not a job, it's a calling. We know that. Now let's work together to share this with the world. We are athletic trainers, and this is our time to shine.
Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope I educated you on what a certified athletic trainer is and the educational requirements, some of the job settings and job responsibilities. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. My email is here for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'd love to hear from you, so please don't hesitate. Take care. Thanks for watching.